Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Sabbath class, the 14th of June, 2025. Okay, I'll be reading out of Book of Jasher, chapters 10 and 11. I was going to read it last night, but I'll read it this morning. Okay, you can go to YouTube to Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine them, get the meat out, and connect the dots. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'll be greatly appreciated. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. And by that I mean we deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh is the Old, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Redeemer and our Savior, the Lord of hosts. Okay, it consists of our laws, statutes, our judgments, and our culture, our way of life as Hebrew Israelites. Okay, this channel was created in order to aid and assist Hebrews Israelites that are waking up in these last days to their true identity. Okay, shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our Shabbat class. We're going to do our moment of silence, prayer, read the Psalms, then we have some current events. We'll look at those current events, and then we'll break it down, apply it to what's going on today and what's been written in the scriptures. Yeah, we have some need to know information, and then we'll open it up for anybody with any questions, comments, any dialogue. Then we'll deal with our topic for discussion, which is dealing with what Governor Abbott did in Texas when he let the movie he did with the military. Okay. Then we go to our scripture reading, which I said was out of the book of Jasher, chapters 10 and 11. Then we'll pick a scripture like usual, and we'll break that scripture down, and then we'll close out. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, right is belonging unto thee. Therefore, we come before thee at this hour, we're seeking our face and looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as our servants David, Solomon, Samuel, and Hezekiah did. Okay? For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, keep your commandments and your testimony and your statutes with all our heart and soul, to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea. Hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us in these last days, but we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. So with that being said, I'll read the Psalms. Okay. Okay, I'll read 29, Psalms 29. It's a voice of the Lord in a storm. It says, give unto the Lord, O ye mighty, give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. The voice of the Lord is upon the waters. The God of glory thundereth. The Lord is upon many waters. The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars. Yea, the Lord breaketh the cedars of Lebanon. He maketh them also to skip like a calf. Lebanon and Syrian like a young unicorn. The voice of the Lord divideth the flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shaketh the wilderness. The Lord shaketh the wilderness of Kadesh. The voice of the Lord maketh the hands to calf, and discovereth the forest. And in his temple doeth everyone speak of his glory. The Lord sitteth upon the flood. Yea, the Lord sitteth king forever. The Lord will give strength unto his people. The Lord will bless his people with peace. So This song right here is one of the songs that it identifies who the Lord of hosts is, because when you understand in Genesis chapter 1 and verse 2, we see it's Yahweh in verse 1, but when you go to verse 2, it says, the Spirit of God moves upon the waters of the flood in the beginning. And so we know that a spirit is an angelic being. So when you understand that and come to read this, you can see it. It says that that's why they got JC walking on the water in Genesis. I mean, in the New Testament, because they replaced him with, they replaced the Lord of hosts with JC. So they gave him his characteristics. But anyway, it says in Psalm 29:3, the voice of the Lord is upon the waters. The God of glory thundereth, the Lord is upon many waters. So that takes you back to Genesis, right? The voice of the Lord is powerful. The voice of the Lord is full of majesty. The voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars. That's thunder. So we know what thunder and lightning does. When lightning strikes, it can hit a tree and it'll break it. That's what this talk about. The voice of the Lord breaketh the cedars. Yea, the Lord breaketh the cedars of Lebanon. He maketh them also to skip like a calf. Lebanon and Syrian like a young unicorn. The voice of the Lord divided the flames of fire. The voice of the Lord shaketh the wilderness. So that's the thunder and the lightning, the wind. The Lord shaketh the wilderness of Kadesh. And then, like I said, 10. The Lord sitteth upon the flood. That's the Genesis chapter 2. Yea. Also, the flood with Noah says, the Lord sitteth upon the flood. Yea, the Lord sitteth king forever. Okay. So there go that king. I was just talking about this earlier. So we see right here, the Lord sitteth upon the flood. The Lord sitteth king forever. King of what? King of Israel. Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? Okay. So with that being said, we're gonna play some current events, and then we'll like I said, tie it to scripture, to these end times. So we know today, we was talking about it last night. I think I mentioned it on the women's line, but today is protest day, and today also Trump is going to parade his, have his so-called military parade for his birthday today. So it's a lot of opposition against that. I think it's like right now as we speak, it's got 4 different types of protests going on across the United States. But anyway, here we go.
U.S. Marines are deployed to protect 9/11. New video just in as hundreds of armed U.S. Marines are deployed to protect federal buildings in Los Angeles. These troops wearing body armor and armed with assault rifles now surrounding the federal building in Westwood, along with a number of military vehicles. It's a very rare and controversial deployment of military forces on American soil, with thousands taking to SoCal streets rather for tomorrow's No Kings protest. There are fears of violent confrontation could be sparked. Tonight, we have team coverage. Reporter Tim Pulliam has more on the deployment of those federal troops. And we begin with reporter Tim Caputo and the ongoing preparations for tomorrow's massive planned protest. Tim.
And Mark, there is an air of uncertainty tonight. We don't really know what we're in store for on Saturday. We do know thousands of people, potentially tens of thousands of people, will be out protesting practically all day tomorrow, many of them here in downtown LA. We also know LAPD, the LA County Sheriff's Department, and CHP are ready for whatever comes their way. Many businesses in downtown LA not taking any chances on what could be record-setting protests Saturday. Friday night's demonstrations, the smallest in a week, but likely the lull before the big Saturday wave, when thousands are expected to hit the streets of Los Angeles for what's being dubbed No Kings rallies.
We're still fighting for our rights.
The planned Saturday protests have the full attention of the LAPD.
We expect crowds that maybe are unprecedented. We are deployed accordingly with all of the resources that we have to be able to ensure everybody is safe.
It's not just downtown either. There are No Kings rallies planned in countless communities from the valleys to beachfront towns. These large demonstrations will be hitting full swing in the late afternoon, just as 50,000 fans head to Dodger Stadium for a home game. LA County Supervisor Catherine Barger expressing concern for what will be a busy Saturday night in the city.
I'm going to hope for the best and hope that the faith-based leaders who have really been at the forefront trying to tell people, please do it with peace.
The downtown curfew will still be in effect tomorrow, and the LA County Sheriff's Department hoping those protesting peacefully distance themselves from any agitators in the crowds.
They are not there to peacefully protest. They are not there to send a legitimate message. They are there to do damage. They are there to hurt people.
Also, Saturday evening in Inglewood, the Mexican national soccer team is playing a game against Dominican Republic at SoFi Stadium. Anytime Mexico plays in LA, it draws huge crowds. And Saturday's match is drawing the attention of Mexico's president, who urged U.S. federal agents not to target attendees of the Gold Cup match. Like over the last week, the No Kings rallies are against any and all ICE raids, but Saturday's events are more specifically about President Donald Trump, who's hosting a military parade in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, which also happens to be his birthday. Those hitting the streets in L.A. hope the message makes it all the way to the White House.
To make a statement, to make an impact, to say that we're standing here, we're standing with our families, we're standing with our countries, and we're not going to stand down.
In addition to that 8 p.m. curfew, you may see the flashing lights here behind me. CHP will remain on those exit and on ramps to the 101 freeway. They also removed all the bird scooters from the...
Okay, anybody heard anything so far this morning about the riots? Anybody have any comments?
Shalom, everyone. I heard about the big plans that he had for it, but I haven't heard about the riots yet.
Okay.
Shalom.
Anybody else? Okay. So with that being said, yeah. So they expect him to worse, as far as I'm concerned, because I mean, it's like I said, it's like a perfect storm. Notice how they got Mexico over playing a soccer match at the same time. It bedazzled me, you know. But anyway, and pertaining to Trump's parade, you know, listen to this right here right quick. We got a whole bunch of bad weather playing for later on the day. So let's look at that.
Summer looms and things are heating up around the United States as Trump prepares for his military parade. And with this breaking story, no doubt President Taco's temperature is rising too. Welcome to Occupy Democrats. I'm David Reddish. So if you've been watching the channel this week, and if you haven't, subscribe right now. What are you waiting for? Seriously. You know Donald Trump is having a very rough week. Trade talks have stalled and make him look like a fool. His attempt to use the military force against protesters in Los Angeles has made a star of California Governor Gavin Newsom, and a number of key indicators are signaling major warning signs for the economy. And yet, Trump is, no doubt, looking forward to his military parade, ostensibly to celebrate Flag Day and the anniversary of the U.S. military. But as we all know, it's really about his birthday. And tensions around the country are rising.
This is the fallout continues from those ongoing anti-ICE protests sparked by immigration raids in Los Angeles. Now, while in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, President Trump is planning a military parade. Now, he has said that any protesters there will be met with, quote, very big force. This comes as the battle over control continues out west. Now, a federal judge had ruled that President Trump acted illegally in deploying National Guard troops to Los Angeles, and that would have returned control back to California's Governor Gavin Newsom. But then an appeals court stopped that decision, and that allows the president's order to stay in place. This as protests continue across the country. Protests like what happened last night in Newark, New Jersey. They were outside an immigration detention center and accused officials of keeping migrants in poor conditions.
They've gone 20 hours without food and were given insufficient food for lunchtime, which happened around 3 o'clock. Some people got a single hot dog. I mean, it's inhumane.
And it gets worse. Stay with me here. Tensions aren't the only thing rising right now. So is the temperature in Washington, D.C. And that should have Donald Trump very worried.
which this model run may show a few early showers, but we're really waiting for daytime heating to kick in, and then the heavy showers and thunderstorms develop. So the model with each run is showing a different solution, but the big picture is there for widespread showers and storms starting in the evening. This is at 6:30 during the parade, and you've got rain overhead. This could become some heavy thunderstorms through the evening. This would be a solution in which, probably worst case, you've got showers and storms over us all evening. And while that settles down overnight, we'll reset into Sunday, Father's Day, and we are expected to see the same thing.
Can't you just picture a bunch of American tanks caught in a thunderstorm, sliding all over the broken streets of Washington, D.C.? That's not the best look for America, especially with Trump presiding over it all. Do you suppose Trump has considered that maybe God is trying to send him a message? Flooding is possible, and I don't think the man is building an ark. And before you say that, oh, the thunderstorms will temper the protesters. No, they won't. Even if nobody showed up in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, and people still will, but even if D.C. remained vacant, there are protests planned in more than 1,500 cities nationwide. Americans are not happy with Trump, and the cracks are starting to show. Which brings us to this bit of breaking news. This morning, CNN evaluated two new polls, one from Quinnipiac, which we discussed earlier this week. See our other videos for more. But the AP also put out some new comprehensive polling, and it is truly troubling for Trump.
I think the simple word here is hurt. It has hurt Donald Trump's popularity. You can see it right here. We have two new polls, Quinnipiac University, AP North. I got the prior poll for you on the screen. I got the now. This is the net approval rating. You can see this in Quinnipiac, -12 to -16. How about AP North? -16 to -21. Awful, awful, awful for both of these polls.
I never heard anybody having a president having a negative rating. Have anybody else? Okay.
Pollsters, where we are right now, both Quinnipiac and AP North, the worst for Donald Trump in this term so far. He is very much way underwater, at least in these two polls.
And this is overall approval. How about specifically on immigration?
Yeah, so immigration has been a strength for Donald Trump. That was why in the beginning of the week I said that Donald Trump wanted this fight. Maybe he shouldn't have wanted this fight. What are we talking about here? Let's take a look at the net approval rating for Donald Trump on immigration. You go back to June 1, he was at +4 points. Look at where he is now, -2 points in the aggregate. That is a drop of 6 points in only about 2 weeks' time. The only thing that's happened over the last 2 weeks is obviously Donald Trump's ramped up immigration hawkish agenda. And at least at this particular point, the American people are saying, no, we do not like that. And they have turned against the president on his core strength issue of immigration. He is now underwater on the issue that has been strongest for him.
A bit of a turn, but it is happening this weekend. This weekend is the big military parade that the president, we know, has been pushing for and is getting this time to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army. There's been a lot of back and forth about concerns over cost and simply how much the hardware and military tanks are going to weigh, and could they damage even the roads. But still, it's moving ahead. But how are people feeling about it?
Yeah, you know, if immigration has not helped Donald Trump, maybe he wants to change the subject to this military parade. But take a look here. Government funds for the military parade, a good use of funds? Only 38% say yes, it is a good use of funds. How about not a good use? 60% say not a good use of funds. And get this, in the center of the electorate among independents, just 24% of independents say it is a good use of funds. This has simply been one of the worst polling weeks for Donald Trump that we've seen. You really only saw worse numbers around his 100th day. But at this particular point, Donald Trump is much more towards the trough of his popularity than the crest of it.
Okay. Any feedback on that? Okay. Anybody have any comments on that? Okay. Got some need to know information right here. I thought this is pretty interesting. Okay. Okay.
Seen the viral video of California Senator Alex Padilla being thrown to the ground and roughed up by federal agents after he questioned
DHS Secretary Kristi Noem at a public press conference in LA.
Hands on your back.
It's in my hand. Good.
All right. Cool. Hands on your hand. Lay flat. Lay flat.
Yeah, this is a senator right here. Police slamming him on the ground. So the first thing comes to my mind is what Hitler did.
Other hand, sir. Other hand.
Hey, my name is Suri Crow, and you're watching the Midas Touch Network. You know, usually I try very hard to find here's what we can do to make this situation better in every report that I put together. But I really don't want to sugarcoat this. We are in the bad place, peeps. We really are. We're in the bad place. Trump and his cult aren't about to cross the Rubicon. They've already crossed it long ago. Listen to these sobering remarks from never Trumper conservative and former Republican Charlie Sykes.
With decency, you say, that was really unfortunate. We're really sorry, Senator Padilla. You know, we disagree, but let's talk about it. Let's not lie about it. Let's not defend this. Let's not try to talk about censorship here. But again, if cruelty is the point, then so is the brutality, and so is this conflict. And I quoted Game of Thrones on your show the other day. Keep in mind that for this administration, chaos is a ladder. They embrace the chaos, and this feeds into it. And if that chaos includes arresting and humiliating and handcuffing Democratic elected officials, they're going to do it. They are okay with that. They are prepping their base to accept it, to ask for it, and to cheer it on. And we should have no illusions that in fact this ratchet has moved today and is moving in real time right now, with every reaction and non-reaction from members of Congress who refuse to stand up for one of their colleagues who was doing a job for his constituents, the job that he was elected to do in his home state. So every moment that passes, that line is moving. And again, this takes place in the context of the militarization of law enforcement, this military parade, and quite frankly, keep in mind the administration's attempt to radicalize the troops. I mean, it is alarming enough, as the general has said, that we're using these troops. But keep in mind what happened at Fort Bragg the other day, where the president did not just simply use the troops as props, but seems to want to radicalize them as agents of the MAGA movement. That's one of the reasons why I think so many people have that knot in their stomach. They realize that they're living in a very different society. It was very interesting hearing Ben Rhodes in the last hour say, we've actually already gone past the tipping point of countries like Hungary. We keep, you and I were warning a year ago and accused of Trump derangement syndrome for saying Donald Trump wants to be like Viktor Orban in Hungary. And as Ben Rhodes pointed out, we've gone way past anything that Viktor Orban might have imagined in his campaign to destroy democratic institutions.
And this weekend's authoritarian birthday parade for Trump in DC, I fear may be the moment that Trump seizes or attempts to seize total power of the government, with hundreds of tanks and loyal soldiers lined up to surround him from the dissent he so despises.
We'll have a lot of, and if there's any protest that wants to come out, they will be met with very big force. By the way, for those people that want to protest, they're going to be met with very big force. And I haven't even heard about a protest, but this is people that hate our country.
Again, I said loyal soldiers. That's because apparently the Department of Defense under Hegseth and Trump is now vetting to look for soldiers and military servicemen and women who are loyal to Trump only. So, because remember, when they sign up for the military, service members are swearing an oath to the Constitution. And by the way, what Trump just said in that clip there is blatantly unconstitutional. Not that he gives a flying fuck about the rule of law at this point. He's talking about essentially a regime change in California in terms of Los Angeles. And that is what dictators do. We're going to liberate. We're going to liberate. That's what people like Maduro and Mussolini and Hitler himself did. In fact, what they are doing is the very opposite of liberty and freedom.
They have it in Europe too. It's happening in many of the countries of Europe. They don't like it when I say it, but I'll say it loudly and clearly. They better do something before it's too late. Very simply, we will liberate Los Angeles and make it free, clean, and safe again. It's happening very quickly.
Los Angeles does not need liberating. What Trump is doing is trying to intimidate blue states into submission by illegally using U.S. armed forces against our own citizens. Let me say that again. Donald Trump is trying to intimidate American citizens, particularly in blue democratically run states, by illegally using U.S. armed forces against our own citizens. Tornadoes and severe weather.
Okay. Any comments so far?
Shalom, everyone. Wow, that's a whole lot, and it's just leading up to what you've been talking about and how he's got this little master plan and try to take over the government and have a dictatorship going on. Because it's ludicrous how they just take down a senator like that just because he has his own opinion about the matter at hand, and they do nothing. So he's trying to control the whole government, like she said. Shalom.
Right. And the crazy part about it, nobody doing nothing about it. So it's like I was saying before, it's no different than the Democrat and the Republican. They all working together. For this to go down like it is, they all got to be working together.
Yes, sir, I agree.
To the National Weather Service and NOAA. Take a look at this video.
Sending the National Guard and they're sending the Marines to California for a fake emergency immigration crisis. Meanwhile, in North St. Louis, ain't nobody sending shit here. So that tornado happened about a month ago, and this is what it looks like. It's still fucked up. I mean, maybe there's some things that are happening. People got some tarps on their roofs. But look, if you look down these streets, maybe people have some porta potties. You know why they got porta potties? Because they got no water. You know, so they got to use fucking porta potties. They have no place to go to the toilet. Look at these houses down here completely destroyed. This whole fucking neighborhood is wiped out. And yet, we got resources to fight a fake immigration issue, and places like this are still fucking devastated and receive no help whatsoever. This is complete bullshit.
See, if Donald Trump and his cabinet of thugs and the Republicans in Congress gave a shit about Americans, they'd have the National Guard down there, rebuilding homes, cleaning up trash and debris, doing the things that the National Guard is really good at doing. But no, they're too busy fronting mostly peaceful protests in California because Trump is jealous of Governor Gavin Newsom. And yes, Trump is acting like a full-blown dictator. So we need to be honest and use honest words about his regime like that. It's not an administration, it's a regime. He's acting like a dictator and on his way to becoming one. Listen to Representative Yasmin Ansari of Arizona break it down.
Mocked us for referring to Donald Trump as a dictator. So let's run through the list. Donald Trump has, since he was inaugurated, pardoned violent January 6th insurrectionists, dictator, defied Supreme Court orders and attacked the judiciary, dictator, unilaterally abolished congressionally chartered federal agencies, dictator, attacked the free press, sounds like a dictator, kidnapped people off of the streets and deported them to foreign prisons without due process, sounds like a dictator, defunded higher education, dictator, threatened law firms and the legal profession, dictator. This weekend, he is spending tens of millions of dollars to host a massive military parade for his birthday. Is this North Korea? On top of all of that, our twice impeached president with a 34-count convicted felony president who is not a king has deployed the active duty military in American cities, and he has spent $134 million to do so. He has their guns trained on American citizens without the consent of local authorities or the state's governor to purposefully generate chaos and provoke a reaction. Meanwhile, we have Republicans on this side of the aisle asking governors of states about bathrooms. Like, this is the most dystopian, horrific episode of Black Mirror that I have ever seen.
You know, I appreciate her and other leaders who are not normalizing the shit show that we are living in right now. You cannot normalize this. We're long gone across the Rubicon. As Representative Eric Swalwell pointed out today in this tweet, America is dying. Trump's agents just physically attacked a U.S. senator. This is how freedom dies.
They are okay with that. They are prepping their base to accept it, to ask for it, and to cheer it on.
Yeah, normalizing violence against fellow members of Congress, against U.S. citizens. But what concerns me is that far too many people, far too many Americans on the left still are not recognizing or accepting where we are right now.
Exactly.
I have several friends on the left who are just not understanding the serious moment that we are in. And I think it's a rationalization. They just cannot absorb that America is not the America that it was 6 months ago under President Joe Biden, that we are in fact a failing nation and falling quickly into dictatorship. Listen to Nicole Wallace explain.
Well, there's also an adaptive human thing going on where the traumatized brain adapts to the moment by saying, well, the courts are holding, and that's true. The courts are holding. But that doesn't mean that the people getting swept up and put in bans aren't traumatized for the months that it takes for the courts to do to work through these cases. And I wonder if there isn't a something meant to survive the trauma to our democracy, to the fabric of our democracy, that is lulling people. I don't think people are complacent, certainly not viewers of this program, certainly not the Democratic leaders or the Democratic members who have spoken out forcefully and with clarity today. But there does seem to be a successful shock and awe that the Trump team has executed in these 130 days.
There has been, and I am probably somewhat more optimistic about the courts holding the line. However, this is again one of those moments where don't expect that the courts are going to really draw a red line about the use of the military. I did a podcast with our mutual friend Harry Littman the other day, and he said, you know, it's very possible that they will greenlight his use of these military forces, and that opens up a real Pandora's box. So I do think he was successful in the shock and awe, but I do sense that is changing. I mean, you're just watching the reaction today of members of Congress who have, you know, gone through the motions in some ways. I don't want to be too critical of them, but you can see that that they are fully aroused to the threat, and I think that, and I just sense that the visuals right now are so dramatic and will be so dramatic over the next couple of weeks that you're going to see that the American people are realizing, you know what, no one's coming to save us. The courts aren't coming to save us. Congress is not coming to save us. The media is not coming to save us. You have to go out and you have to do this. And that I think is the tipping point. That I think is the other tipping point.
Okay. Any comments? Anybody else got any comments?
Shalom. It has to be something that he's holding his whole cabinet. Something's got to be held over their heads for them to all bow down and accept this way he's, you know, directing and making things happen, because they have family members that has family members that has family members. So how would they, or in the sense of accepting what's going on and egging him on, or silently in the background, not saying anything. Now, some of his cabinets spoke out on him, but then they doubled down. And so it just got to be something more to what we're seeing to allow him to become this fascist, deranged leader.
Right. So when you look at it, you know, me looking at this, and it's becoming more and more apparent as people look at it, because first of all, it's turning the New Testament upside down on its head, exposing it, because of, like, when you go to the covenant he made with David, the Lord, the God that everybody think is JC, they said that he told David to he's going to bring his people back into the land of Israel. He's going to take care of them, and they're going to be no longer harassed by the children of wickedness. And because of Christianity, the New Testament, that ain't registering with nobody. So, but when you read it the way you're supposed to, it's some wicked ass people on the planet. They're so wicked that the Creator don't even deal with them. But nobody sees that. Like I said, when they went and told you that Noah had 3 sons, and all them people ain't Noah's sons. Those people that the Creator talking about wicked, they are part of those people. But they didn't heed them in there with Noah, saying Noah's children. So my point is this: they showing who they are right now. They're showing you how wicked they are. And this ain't the first incident. They all got together with the transatlantic slave trade. So it ain't that they got some kind of pact. They wicked as hell, like the Creator told us. But they didn't heed them with Christianity. And so, like I said before, he ain't bringing them in. That's the whole objective of the New Testament, that he brought these wicked ass people to the fold, and he didn't. And they showing us that now. They done did it over and over again. This is just another episode. They wicked as hell. Because I mean, they all together, like the man was just saying, they at home with chaos. Everything that they bringing about now, they get excited about it. They wicked as hell. That's what's being exposed. Anybody else got anything?
Yeah, Shalom. May I say that?
Yeah.
Like in the wilderness, when they got across the Red Sea, and those wicked people also crossed over, because if they were for the Lord of hosts, they would not have made that golden calf. They would have not rebelled and had doubt in their mind to do what they did and went against Moses. So it's like that day is playing over again, or that time period. I think they were in there for 40 years in the wilderness, but that time is playing again, because here you are with people doing these protests, but then they're saying that they're going to hurt the people that does the protest, and I believe that is the freedom of speech. So they're tearing down that part of having the Constitution. And then when we take a broad look at everything, that we see that the Lord of hosts is saying, where is my people? Where are the ones who's going to speak out for me? We are not hearing anyone in those protests. And you have so many of those preachers out there, bishops and everything. Are they calling on the Lord of hosts? Are they speaking out? Just like you said, they're all living in the New Testament, and they're yelling JC, but they're not yelling for the Lord of hosts. They're not out there saying anything about who the Lord of hosts is and how they're worshiping and praising him. We have some that's in the background, I guess, doing, praising the Lord of hosts. But when he says his people will stand up, and how many we are standing up to voice the Lord of hosts? And then he's going to save us if we recognize him. If we go out there and within our sites, or and say things among teaching, like you're doing now. You're teaching us, you're showing us who the Lord of hosts is and how he is working around everyone, how he is allowing certain things to happen so we can open our eyes and recognize him as our Savior and what he's going to do for us as Hebrew Israelites. And if we can recognize that and get into the fold, then I feel, and it's just my outlook on it, he is going to stop all the things. But until that happens, we have so many Hebrew Israelites doesn't know who he is no more, because they've been brainwashed with the New Testament. And to get them back into the fold, they have to realize who he is. That's just what I'm looking at. Shalom, everyone.
Okay. Right. Anybody else have any comments on that? Right. So you got somebody got something? Okay, somebody had something?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. Last night on the men's line, you and Brother AJ kind of covered a little bit of that at the end of the class. Didn't really go into detail a whole lot, but you guys kind of discussed that a little bit of there's nothing we have to do. This is not our fight. All we have to do is just be still and wait on the Lord. So not many people know that who the Lord is, who our Savior is, right?
Right.
You always talk about a remnant, right? So
Right.
what everybody else is doing, the Hebrew Israelites are not going to do, because we don't have to do anything. Shalom.
Exactly right, right. And yeah, I wanted to say that too about I don't know if anybody watched the movie Shrek, the first one, when him and the donkey was walking in the field, and the donkey was trying to get him to explain the way everything was going on, the complication of the situation when it comes to the children of wickedness and all that stuff. He said it's layers. It's like an onion. You got to, it's complicated. When you say when, for instance, the Constitution of the United States, that come out of the mind of these same wicked ass people. So now you got people protesting, but they protesting against something that these wicked ass people already concocted from the beginning. Because you say, what are you talking about? Hell, they made us 3/5 humans in that same Constitution. The same Constitution that we going as Black Americans today to fight for in the military. It tells us that we was 3/5 humans. So the protesters protesting today, that's layers to that. It's wickedness. You know what I'm saying? When somebody that don't know no better look at it and think that it's righteousness, but you know what I'm saying, it's wicked as hell because of the way it was concocted. The same Constitution allowed for the transatlantic slave trade. But anyway, so anybody got any comments?
Shalom. What I want to say is that I would not have known the New Testament was like it was, and JC was not the person or the image without this class. I have came into the light of what is going on, and I thank you guys so much for having this class, because I didn't know.
Okay. Exactly. So with that being said, we open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions, comments about anything they came across during the week in the classes, the women's line, men's line, reading through the Tanakh? Anybody have any comments, anything that came up they want some clarity on it? Okay, comments?
Oh, shalom, Brother Leonard. Did you see General Langley been fired?
Yeah. Right.
What you think is with that?
Well, he caused a whole bunch of he caused an uproar, and he shined the light on, and it elevated Tory. So they got rid of him because of all the backlash that the world got from the statements he made, and the way he came at Tory. So they trying to subvert that, because all it did was put shining more of a light on Tory, elevated him, and it made America look wicked. Okay, what you think?
No, yes, sir. That makes sense. And they definitely got a Gentile in his place now that got a lot of combat experience. So it's a reason for that too.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the things I noticed about these, how we get brainwashed so easily about like the Pope. Now they had for the first time, they had like 3 different black popes that was in line to be the next pope, right? So in order to subvert that, to make an excuse for not choosing one of them, right? Because they already see what's happening in the world. The Most High is turning it up, back right side up. So they don't want no black pope on the scene. So they come and they say that this pope they got now got a black history. Like that's supposed to make everything good because he got some kind of connection of black folks in his lineage or some kind of bullshit. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? But and then black folks go for it. They go for it. Now when they talk about when you hear somebody a conversation come up about the Pope that's the existing Pope right now, the first thing people will say, oh, you know, he got black in his history. Well, I don't see it. I mean, what that's got to do with anything? It's crazy. Like I said, with the New Testament, look how long and it's still going on today. How we these blatant lies that you're looking at, but we going for it because they said it. They said a man came, died on the cross, and walked on the water and all this, and just because they said it, we still believe it. But all the evidence now is popping up everywhere. And the lies eroding, but Negroes still holding on to it because they said he done all this. Just like that. All of a sudden, it ain't that they discriminated against the other 3 black dudes. No, this Pope got some black in him. They told him to shun the disrespect that they've done. You know what I'm saying? And the racism, they've been looked over that. Now this dude here, he just got a little black in him. That's okay. That's good. It's crazy. Okay.
Shalom. Oh, I want to indicate where they said about Bill Clinton, saying that he got some black in him, and he the one put up the 3-strike law on offenders, you know, and then his wife, Hillary Clinton, she did a whole lot of things, and they went over there in Haiti and did a lot of things over there. So just because he played the saxophone, they were saying that he got black in him, but he also did a whole lot of things that were not right.
Right. They ain't looking at the actions. Just what they say. That what they say overshadow all that. That's the thing that they've done to us over these last 2,500 years. That we don't have no rationale. We're not thinking like no Hebrew. We just brain dead. Okay. So we see all this chaos that's going on over here in America, right? But not connecting the dots. Look at this. The same chaos. Like I said, these people ain't what their objective is. They want to build a temple in Jerusalem, a fake ass temple to JC, which he ain't had nothing to do with us. But that's their objective, and because of all the stuff that's been going on, everybody done forgot about that. But they still want. That's what all this about. They're not just bringing America down, they're bringing the whole world down, because in order for them to do what they want to do, they have to bring the whole world down. That's where all this chaos comes from. That's why Trump able to do what he do. But anyway, you would think it's just over here today, Saturday, with all the chaos that's expected for the day. Let's look at this. So like I said, it ain't just here. It's not just over here.
Hello and welcome to Africa Plus News Channel.
They're doing a global demo job. Check it out.
If you care about the future of Africa, you're in the right place. So please like, share, and subscribe for more critical updates like this one. Today, we're diving deep into the powerful justice movement sparked by the tragic death of Albert Ojwang and how it has reignited the Ruto Must Go protests sweeping across Nairobi. Stay with us. It's time for answers, and your voice matters more than ever. It all began with the death of Albert Ojwang, a 31-year-old digital activist and blogger from Homa Bay County. Albert was arrested on June 6 for allegedly defaming the Deputy Inspector General of Police via social media.
So notice what it just said. This dude right here, they killed him. The death of this guy was got all the chaos going on. And they keep saying, we ain't doing nothing. We laying low. That's what it's going to take to bring us to the streets. Somebody got to die that they can build up.
2 days later, he was dead. Authorities claimed he inflicted injuries on himself while in custody, but a state-conducted post-mortem revealed a darker reality. Head trauma, neck compression, and extensive tissue injuries. These were not injuries of a man hurting himself. They were the marks of a beating, of brutality, of something deeply wrong in the system.
The Criminal Procedure Code, Chapter 75 of the laws of Kenya, has clear procedures on arrests relating to cognizable offenses. There should have been a formal complaint and an arrest warrant. Kenyans want to know if there was a formal complaint by the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Eliud Lagat. And if so,
within days of Albert's death, a tidal wave of outrage surged through Kenya's capital. Thousands of young people took to the streets of Nairobi, turning grief into resistance. Protesters gathered around City Hall, the Parliament building, and outside the mortuary where Albert's body lay. The crowd chanted justice for Albert, but the message didn't stop there. Cries of Ruto must go rang louder and longer, echoing through the heart of the capital.
So my point is this, just like you see the chaos over here, it's over there too. So it's a concerted effort. You know, it's something way bigger than what we can even imagine. Okay. Any comments, questions on that? Okay. I got a topic for discussion that I was telling you about. You know, it ain't just Trump. You got this other nut bucket in Texas, in the wheelchair, or Abbott. And then you got the guy in Florida, Sanchez. They all them. And then there's just a few of them. They all working together. So check this out. This is supposed to be expected.
with the Piperstein.
Described as a massive, peaceful middle finger to Donald Trump. The grassroots movement known as No King's Day is set to erupt across the country this Saturday. And if that sounds like a direct rebuke of Trump's bloated ego, well, that's because it absolutely is. The event, which has gained serious traction online and off, is being billed as a national day of peaceful protest specifically designed to counter Trump's planned $30 million military parade, a spectacle so blatantly authoritarian it makes Kim Jong-un's birthday bash look understated by comparison. But just when you thought Texas couldn't get any weirder under Greg Abbott's leadership, the Republican governor decided to flex some unconstitutional muscle and militarize the state's response. Because nothing says freedom-loving democracy like sending in the National Guard to suppress dissent. In a move that feels ripped straight from the I support my dictator playbook, Abbott announced an aggressive posture against the protests, citing vague concerns about public safety.
A demon in a wheelchair. That's all you're dealing with.
A phrase politicians love to weaponize, right? Before they start treating American citizens like enemy combatants. Let's be crystal clear. This isn't about security. This is about silencing opposition. And while our No King's Day remains committed to nonviolence, Abbott's decision to deploy armed forces reeks of overreach, fear-mongering, and a desperate attempt to protect one man's cult of personality at the expense of First Amendment rights. So yes, the tension is real, the irony is thick, and the stakes are high. Because in Texas, apparently, even your birthday protest needs permission slips and perimeter patrols. Stay tuned, because trust me, you're not going to believe how far Abbott is willing to go.
We have some news right now. Massive anti-Trump protests are scheduled for Donald Trump's birthday, also known as No King's Day, per the protesters. They're calling it No King's Day because of Donald Trump's proclamation that he is a king.
I am the chosen one. President Trump posted, "Long live the king." We don't take an oath to a king. We take an oath to the Constitution.
A number of groups are protesting across the country. Protests are now scheduled in, I believe, all 50 states around the world. It comes on the same day that is not only Donald Trump's birthday, but it's also going to be a massive military parade here in Washington, D.C., one that's going to cost taxpayers anywhere from $30 to $40 million. The military parade will include tanks, will include flyovers, will include thousands of military personnel.
This isn't just another protest. It's a full-blown democratic uprising, and it's happening nationwide. Call to Activism has officially joined forces with Indivisible to turn No King's Day into a coast-to-coast reckoning, because apparently Trump's obsession with authoritarian pageantry needed a serious reality check. On the same day the former president struts around playing his own Supreme Leader cosplay, thousands of Americans across the country are mobilizing to say, not here, not ever. This is about more than opposing a man. It's about defending the very idea of democracy. The United States wasn't built on crowns, thrones, or military parades for egomaniacs in red hats. It was founded on the radical idea that no one should rule over us. Trump wants to rule through fear, intimidation, and manufactured spectacle? Fine. We'll answer with unity, resistance, and people power, in numbers too big to ignore. So if you're done watching democracy get mocked by a man who still thinks executive time is a real thing, RSVP now. Find your local No King's Day. Mobilization and show up. Because this isn't just a protest, it's a declaration. We are a republic, and we are not going quietly into the night.
I got a golden nugget looking at this. So, like I said before, go back to Egypt. What you're looking at, when you bring this up on YouTube, all these protesters, they're white folks. So we go to Egypt. The Israelites, we look at that whole scenario, the 10 plagues when it went down, the Israelites is in Goshen. They weren't part of the chaos that was going on. And we're looking at the same thing right now. That's why these people are so adamant trying to get us involved in it. But we're not in it. It's the same thing playing out again.
Let's show the world what real patriotism looks like. And it doesn't march behind a wannabe dictator. It rises together.
There is in the USA. You're not God, no matter what you say. You break your word, you steal and lie, but you can't break us, no matter how you try.
Let's be clear, you're not doing it to celebrate the Army's birthday. You're doing it to stroke Donald Trump's ego. If you want to celebrate that Army's birthday by spending $30 million, I would recommend you think about something along the lines of maybe spending that money on childcare for military families, perhaps tuition reimbursement for military families. There are lots of ways to celebrate the Army's birthday without blowing it all on a parade.
Okay. Any comments on that? Feedback? Okay. So yeah, so like I was saying before, ain't nothing we gotta do. Just we'll sit back and watch it play out. Okay, we're gonna go to the book of Jasher. I'll read chapters 10 and 11, and then like I said, we're gonna tie it into what we're looking at happening in front of our faces. Okay, I'm in the book of Jasher, chapter 10. Okay, here we go. It says, and Peleg and Eber died in those days in the 48th year of the life of Abraham, son of Terah. And all the days of Peleg were 239 years. And when the Lord had scattered the sons of men on account of their sin at the tower behold, they spread forth into many divisions, and all the sons of men were dispersed into the four corners of the earth, and all the families became each according to its language, its land, or its city. And the sons of men built many cities according to their families, in all the places where they went, and throughout the earth where the Lord had scattered them. And some of them built cities and places from which they were afterwards extrapolated, and they called these cities after their own names, for the names of their children, or after their particular appearances. We kind of went over this before, but anyway, my point is this is ringing out loud when you, like I said, understanding who's who when it comes to the order, right? The Most High's order. It says right here, and when the Lord, see that? Not Yahweh, when the Lord had scattered the sons of men, see that? The Lord scattered the sons of men on account of their sin at the tower. Not Yahweh, okay? Verse 6, and the sons of Japhet, the sons of Noah, went and built themselves cities in the places where they were scattered. So look at this right here. You gotta get outside of the Christian mindset and what the Gentiles have done. It says, and the sons of Japhet, we know who they are now. Okay, it says right here, the sons of Japhet, the son of Noah. Now, he ain't the son of Noah. So you got to read that right. The sons of Japhet, right, went. He not connected to Noah. The son of Japhet went and built themselves cities in places where they were scattered, and they called all their cities after their names. And the sons of Japhet were divided upon the face of the earth into many divisions and languages. So it go to children of wickedness right here. Right. See, they were scattered all over the place. Right. Then 7. And these are the sons of Japhet according to their families. Gomer. So it's not a coincidence. Everything come to light once you line everything up. So now, here we go. End times. These are the sons of Japhet according to their families. Gomer. End times. Magog, Midian, Javan, Tubal, Meshach, Tyrus. These are the children of Japhet according to their generation. Now watch this. Now we're going to see if Most High is the New Testament is legitimate, right? We're going to go to Ezekiel, right? Ezekiel 37. Okay? Ezekiel 38. Right? Let me get it. This I just read you way back in the book of Jasher. 3,000 some years, 4,000 some years ago. Okay? And now I'm today, where we at today. 38 says, the prophecy against God, and the words of the Lord came unto see, this who scattered them. The word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against God in the land of Magog, the chief prince, these same people I just read. Set thy face against God, the land of Magog, chief prince of Meshach, Tubal, and prophesy against him. See that? So somebody lying, because if he had a covenant and brought them in, why in these last days he still got a problem with them? And we even read in the Jubilees where we was commanded not to even, it's part of our laws and our statutes, part of the Tanakh, part of the Torah, for us to stay the hell away from them. And this is what I was talking about earlier, how because they said something, told you something, you ain't using the mind that the Creator gave you to see that it's a lie right here. So he had a problem with them in the book of Jasher, and here we are in 2025 looking in Ezekiel 38, and he still got a problem with them. Matter of fact, he got to put hooks in them, to bring them where he want them at, so he can get rid of them. So either he made a covenant with them, a New Testament covenant with them, or somebody lying. And we can see that they lying. But anyway, let me go back over here. So it says, verse 8, this is Joshua chapter 10, verse 8. And the children of Gomer, according to their cities in where the Francicum who dwelt in France, in the river of France by the sea. So we know right now. Look at the Sahel in France, and look at all the stuff they done to the people over there in those 14 countries in Africa. Here they go right here, France, right? And the children of Redford, Barton, who dwell in the land of Bartania by the river Leda, which empties into the waters in the great sea of Aegean, that is Oceanus, right? So I can't pronounce these words. And the children of Tamarga are 10 families. These are their names. Okay, I ain't gonna read these names. These are these Gentiles, right? Children of wickedness. 11. And they call their cities after their names. These are they who abide by the river Hithlah, which is Italy. See that? Now you say Italy, what you talking about? That's Rome, the Vatican. Children of wickedness. Okay? The Most High was telling David about. Okay? And but the families of Anglia, Bargar, whatever, they dwell by the great river Duni. The names of these cities are according to their own name. And the children of Javan are the Javans who dwell in the land of they're spelling it a different way, but it's Macedon. That's what Alexander the Great came from. We go to the book of Maccabees. So and the children of Madara or Arlum that dwelled in the land of Cushon. The children of Tubal are those that dwell in the land of Tushkana by the river Pisha. And the children of Meshach are children of Tyrus or Rusha, that's Russia, Kusha, Olam. All these went and built themselves cities. Those are the cities that are saturated by the sea of Jabus by the river Kura, which empties itself into the river Tragon. And the children of Elisha are Armenian, and they also went and built themselves cities. Those are the cities that's situated between the mountains of Job and Simata, and of those that are the people of Lumbari, the Barda, who dwell opposite the mountains of Job and Shabama, and they conquered the land of Italia and remained there until this day. And the children of Chechem are the Romans who dwell in the valley of Capona by the river Tuba, and the children of Judah. So anyway, when you look at this and you want to connect the dots, Cain was wicked as hell, right? He killed Abel. What did he do? He left from there and he went and built a city. That's how you track these people. Now, all these doing the same thing. When the Most High scattered them from the Tower of Babel, they went and did exactly what Cain did. Built cities. Okay. Anyway, keep going. These are the families of the children of Japhat. These are children of wickedness. Okay. We're going to call it for what it is. The families of Japhat, according to their cities and their languages. And when they were scattered after the tower, they called their cities after their names and occurrences. And these are the names of all the cities according to their families which they had built in those days after the tower. And the children of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. So, like I said before, don't listen to what they said. Here you go right here. We know the Canaanites is wicked as hell. So this Ham ain't none of his son either. It says Ham, and we're gonna see that in a minute. The children of Ham were Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan, according to their generations in their cities. All these went and built themselves cities as they found fit places for them, and they called their cities after the names of their fathers: Cush, Mizraim, Put, and Canaan. And the children of Mizraim, like I said, these giants. Negroes reading right over it. The children of Mizraim are Ludan, Anan, Leman. These are Canaanites that Moses is fighting. The Lord of hosts had to get rid of them, right? And Joshua, verse 22. All these dwelt by the river Shihar, that is the brook of Egypt, and they built themselves cities and called them after their own names. And children of Petros and Kala intermarried together, and from them went forth these more giants: Paslam, Azadum, Gerim, Gathium, Ekron, in all 5 families. These also built themselves cities, and they called their cities after the names after their fathers until this day. And the children of Canaan also built themselves cities, and they called their cities after their names. 11 cities and others without number. And the 4 men from the family of Ham. See that? These ain't no Israelites or no Hebrews. The 4 men from the family of Ham went to the land of the plains. These are the names of the 4. Here you go, right here. That's how we know they wicked as hell, right? Some people might can't handle this. These are they are calling names after the names of their cities, and they and their children and their belongings. No, I'll skip the verse 25. The 4 men from the families of Ham went to the land of the plains, the Shinar. These are the names of the 4 men: Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zebulun. These he had to send fire from heaven to burn them up. So he gonna do that, but then he gonna turn around and make a covenant with them, send a so-called son and die for him. Yeah, these same people we just read is Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zebulun. These are cities that was destroyed in the plain by the Lord of hosts from heaven. Okay, and they and their children and all belonging to them dwelt in these cities, and they were fruitful, multiplied greatly, and dwelt peaceably. And Seir, here goes Esau. Seir, the son of Hur, the son of Heva, son of Canaan. So see that I was telling you about when Rebecca had Jacob and Esau. Esau ain't none of Isaac's son. Point blank. 28, it says Seir. So we know that Seir is a race of people that Esau intermingled with. Just the daddy of them. His name's Seir. Seir, the son of Hur. See that? Son of Heva, son of Canaan. So this man Seir is a Canaanite, right? And he went and found a valley opposite Mount Paran, and he built a city there, just like Cain did. This man Seir, right? And he and his 7 sons and his household dwelt there. And he called the city which he built Seir, according to his name. See that? Same thing Cain did. Right? His name, that is in the land of Seir unto this day. These are the families of the children of Ham, according to their languages and the cities when they were scattered in their countries after their towns. This is why these books ain't part of the canon, right? So, because you might accidentally figure it out just reading, right? These are the families of the children of, okay, I read that. Some of the children of Shem, son of Noah, father of all the children of Eber. See that? This right here tell you, Eber, Hebrews. Ham ain't no Hebrew. See that? It says, the sons of the children of Shem, son of Noah, father of all the children of Eber. See that? Now go to what the Lord of hosts said when he went to Egypt. I brought these plagues to let y'all know that there's a difference in the Egyptian and in the Israelites. The Egyptians ain't no Hebrews. Okay? And some of the children of Shem, son of Noah, father of the children of Eber, also went and built themselves cities in the places wherein they were scattered, and they called their cities after their name. And the sons of Shem were Elam, Asher, Arphad, Lud, Aram, and Aram, and they built themselves cities, and they called the names after the cities of their names. And Asher, the son of Shem, and his children and his household went forth at that time, a very large body of them, and they went to a distant land, and they found and they met with a very extensive valley in the land that they went to, and they built themselves 4 cities, and they called them after their own names and their currency. So what you got to see right here is these Asher. You go to Genesis chapter 11, Asher, the son of Shem, he did this man right here. He says it's a lot of them. They went to Shinar, just like what Lot did. Abraham went away from the wickedness. Lot went to the wickedness. Same right here. Asher, the son of Shem, and his children and his household went forth at that time to a very large body of them, and they went to a distant land. See that? They went away from their people, and that they found, and they met with a very extensive valley in the land that they went to. That's Shinar. So they ended up over where Nimrod was at. Okay. And in the second year after the tower, a man from the house of Asher, whose name was Bela, went from the land of Nineveh to sojourn with the household wherever he could find a place, and they came into the opposite of the city of the plains against Sodom. See that? And they dwelled there. So we see right here, this is why the Most High dealing with, like I was telling you, he dealing with Nineveh the way he dealing with Nineveh, because it's Hebrews there. That's why he sent Joshua there. I mean, he sent Jonah there, them Israelites. And so when you understand what these people did, that's why when they came up with the sign for JC, they used Jonah. Okay, it says, and the man rose up and built there a small city, called his name Bela after his name, and this is the land of Zor unto this day. So what's so important about that? This is where Lot was taken to. You go back and read it. When the angels came and took Lot out of the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, they took him right here to this place, Bela. And then the other name is Zor unto this day. Let's look at it right quick. Let's look at it. Okay, if you go to Genesis 18, I think it is. Genesis 18 in King James. Okay, look at it right quick. Okay, chapter 19. Yeah, I'm in chapter 19, verse 24. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone, fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew these cities. We read that now, right? And all the plains and all the inhabitants of the cities. So, like I said, they wicked as hell. He doing this right here, but he gonna turn around later, and the son gonna die for these same people, right? That which grew up upon the ground, but his wife looked back behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham got up early in the morning. Let me get it. 30. And Lot went up out of Zor. There go it is right there. See that? They put him in Zor. They took him out of Sodom and Gomorrah, put him down in Zor. See, and Lot went up out of Zor and dwelt in the mountains, and his 2 daughters with them, and he feared to dwell in Zor, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. So there it is right there. Ain't that something? Anyway, so we see over here in verse chapter 10 of 36, Joshua 36 says, and the man rose up, built there a small city, called his name Bela after his name. This is the land of Zor unto this day. And these are the families of the children of Shem, according to their language and their cities, after they were scattered upon the earth after the tower. And every kingdom, city, and family of the families of the children of Noah built themselves many cities after this, and established governments in all their cities in order to be regulated by their orders. So did all the families of the children of Noah forever. It says now we in comments, that's chapter 10. Anybody have any comments, questions on anything? Okay.
Shalom. When you mentioned the daughters, now the daughters did have children. Were they part of the Shem family now? Or, they stayed in the land, their children?
So Lot two daughters?
Yeah, Lot's two daughters, his children from the daughters. Did they stay in the land also to become part of those people?
That's Ammon and Moab. The children of Ammon was one of the nationality of people in the land of Israel, and from one daughter, and the other daughter had the Moabites. The Ammonites and the Moabites came from these two girls that Lot slept with. Right. That's why he said we couldn't mingle with them, because it was incest. Those two boys came about from incest. That's why these Moab and Ammon are two of the races of people that we wasn't supposed to intermingle with.
Even though Lot had the DNA from being Adam's nephew, right?
Yeah, he was a Hebrew, but they committed incest right here when he had these two boys, Ammon and Moab, from his two daughters.
Because they're the ones who made him drunk, so he didn't know of what was going on, right?
Right. So they say.
Okay. Yes, sir. Okay.
Okay. Anybody else got anything?
Shalom, Brother Leonard. I'm sorry to say, Asher is the Assyrians?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm go back and look at it. I'm in the King James in chapter 11. Like I was saying, this is one of the things that back in the day, it just stuck out like a thumb, but it seems to me nobody else saw it, but I was looking dead at it. Anyway, I'm in Genesis chapter 11, right? And then you'll see that let me get it. Well, I'm in chapter 10. I'm in 21, verse 21, chapter 10. So it's two different groups of Shem descendants. You got I start at 21. Unto Shem also the father of all the children of Eber. See that? Unto Shem also the father of all the children of Eber. So he tell you right there, I 8 brothers. All the children of Eber, all the Hebrews is out of Shem. See that? So anyway, unto Shem also the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japhet. See that? That's crazy as hell. How they all the children of Shem is Eber, but Japhet ain't. See that? The brother of Japhet, the elder, even to him were children born. The children of Shem, Elam, Asher. There go Asher right there. Arflat and Lud and Aram. And Aram is where you go to the story of Moses. That's where Moses came from. Out of children of Aram, right? Anyway, and the children of Aram, Uz, Hul, Gader, and Mash. Arflat begot Shelah, Shelah begot Eber. So here you go. Here go Eber. And then unto Eber were born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided. That's when the earth was divided by the angels, the 70 angels right here. And his brother's name was Joktan. So what you're looking at right here, we follow in the lineage of, go back to, you could say the two basket figs. One of the bastards is Peleg, the other bastard is Joktan. So Joktan, the one, ended up going to the land of Shinar. We came out of the lineage of Peleg. So verse 26, Joktan begot Ammon. So this is the lineage right here. And then you keep going down to verse 30, and their dwelling was from Mesha that goeth to the Sephar to the mount of the east. So these are children of the east. Joktan, right? 32. These are the families, 31. These are the sons of Shem, after their families, after their tongues, in their lands, after their nations. 32. These are the families of the sons of Noah, after their generations, in their nations, and by these were the nations divided. So we see Joktan ended up, it tells us, we read in Jasher, he went to a foreland, to a plain, so he went to where Nimrod and them was at, to where Shinar was at. These are Asher. You see that?
Right, yes, sir. Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you got two different, and then you can see over here in chapter 11, then you go to verse 10, this the other group of Shem descendants. That was from Joktan. Then you go to chapter 11, verse 10. These are the generations of Shem. Was 100 years old, and he begot Arphaxad 2 years after the flood. Then Shem lived after he begot Arphaxad 100 years, and he begot sons and daughters. And Arphaxad lived 500 years, begot Shelah, and then you keep on going down, you'll see Peleg. So this the lineage, 18. Peleg lived 30 years and begot Ruth. Now this the lineage, this the other lineage. This how you get, they went over into Mesopotamia. That's how Abraham and all them ended up in Mesopotamia. And Terah ended up being the Lord of hosts for Nimrod. Okay. That make any sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else got anything? I'm gonna read this last chapter. So it says, and Nimrod, son of Cush, this chapter 11 of Jasher, Nimrod, the son of Cush, was still in the land of Shinar. This is what I told you about. He didn't get killed at Solomon. When Solomon and Gomorrah was destroyed, Nimrod didn't get killed. It says Nimrod of Cush was still in the land of Shinar, and he reigned over it, and he dwelt there, and he built a city in the land of Shinar. These are the names of the 4 cities which he built, and he called their names after the occurrences that happened. See that this was, the tower got destroyed, right? The Tower of Babel got destroyed, but Nimrod lived through it, right? These are the names of the 4 cities which he built, and he called their names after the occurrences that happened to them in the building of the tower. And he called the first one Babel. Second saying, because the Lord there confounded the languages of the whole earth. And the name of the second he called Iraq, because from there God dispersed them. And the third he called Akkad, saying there was a great battle at that place. And the fourth he called Kalna, because his princesses and his mighty men were consumed there, and they vexed the Lord. And they rebelled and transgressed against him. And when Nimrod had built these cities in the land of Shinar, he placed in them the remainder of his people, his princes, his mighty men that were left in his kingdom. And Nimrod dwelt in Babel, and he there renewed his reign over the rest of his subjects, and he reigned securely. This is where you get Amorphal at. I told you in Genesis chapter 15. This is Nimrod's new name after he survived the Tower of Babel, and he reigned securely, and the subjects and the princes of Nimrod called his name Amorphal. That's his new name, right? Saying that at the tower, his princes and men fell through his means. And notwithstanding this, Nimrod did not return to the Lord, and he continued in his wickedness and teachings. Right there, see that? Notwithstanding this, Nimrod did not return to the Lord, and he continued in his wickedness and teachings. See that? Go back to the 200 angels. That goes over a lot of people's heads. The 200 angels came down teaching, and the Nimrod picking up what they done right here. And his wickedness, teaching wickedness to the sons of men. So this is the opposite of Melchizedek, right? And murder on his son, who was worse than his father, and he continued to add to the abomination of his father. And he calls the sons of men to sin. So Melchizedek causing them to return to the Lord in righteousness, which is the lineage of Abraham and Noah, Shem. That's Melchizedek's, right? It says, and he calls the sons of men to sin. Therefore, it is said, from wickedness goeth forth wickedness. And at that time, there was war between the families of Ham, as they were dwelling in the cities which they had built. And Kedar, king of Elam, went away from the families of the children of Ham and fought with them, and he subdued them, and he went to the 5 cities of the plains, and he fought against them, and he subdued them, and they were under his control. And they served him 12 years, and they gave him a yearly tax. And at that time died Nahor, son of Segar, in the 49th year of the life of Abel, son of Terah. And in the 50th year of the life of Abraham, son of Terah, Abraham came forth from the house of Noah, and he went to his father's house. And Abraham knew the Lord, and he went in his ways and instructions. And the Lord, his God, was with him. And Terah, his father, was in those days still captain of the host of Nimrod, and he still followed strange gods. So let me read this back. We go back right quick. So remember the story where when Joseph came and brought his 2 sons to Jacob, Jacob laid his hands on them, right? And then Jacob told him, I'm gonna bless them, and the angel, the Redeemer, that the angel that redeemed me, bless the lads, right? So he's telling you right there, the Redeemer is an angel. And so look at this right here. We're gonna read this. At that time died Nahor, son of Sirach, in the 40th year of the life of Abraham, son of Terah. And in the 50th year of the life of Abraham, son of Terah, Abraham came forth from the house of Noah, check it out, and went to his father's house. And Abraham knew the Lord, and he went in his ways and instructions. And the Lord, his God, was with him. See that? Same thing that Isaac said, Jacob said, the angel that fed me and redeemed me all my life. Same thing right here. It says Abraham knew the Lord, and he went in his ways and his instructions, right? And the Lord, his God, was with him. Same with David. Once you understand who the Lord is. And Terah, his father, was in those days still captain of the host of the king of Nimrod, and he still followed strange gods. And Abraham came to his father's house, saw 12 gods standing there in their temple, and the anger of Abraham was kindled when he saw the images in his father's house. Okay. Let me see what I want to read this. Okay. Yeah, I'll read some of it. It says, and Abraham said, as the Lord liveth, these images shall not remain in my father's house. So shall the Lord who created me do unto me, if in 3 days' time I do not break them all. And Abraham went from them, and the anger burned within him. And Abraham hastened and went out from the chamber of his father's outer court. And he found his father sitting in his court, and all his servants with him. And Abraham came and sat before him. Abraham asked his father, saying, Father, tell me, where is God who created heaven and earth, and all the sons of men upon the earth, and who created thee and me? And Terah answered his son Abraham and said, Behold, those who created us all are all with us in this house. And Abraham said unto his father, My Lord, show them to me, I pray thee. And Terah brought him into the chamber of the inner court. And Abraham saw, and behold, the whole room was full of gods of wood and stone, 12 great images, and the other less than they without number. And Terah said to his son, Behold, these are they which made all that thou seest upon the earth, and which created me and thee and all mankind. So let that frame out. So the same thing these folks saying now is some basic beings that created us, right? So this ain't nothing new. And Terah bowed down to his gods, and then he went away from them, and Abraham and his son went away with him. And when Abraham had gone from them, he went to his mother, sat before her, and he said to his mother, Behold, my father has shown me those who made heaven and earth, and all the sons of men. Now therefore hasten and fetch a kid from the flock, and make of it savory meat, that I may bring it to my father's gods as an offering to them to eat. Perhaps I may thereby become acceptable to them. And his mother did so. And he fetched the kid and made savory meat thereof and brought it to Abraham. And Abraham took the savory meat from his mother and brought it before his father's gods. And he drew nigh to them that they might eat. And Terah and his father did not know of it. So what I want you to shine a light on is notice the story is eerily similar to Jacob and Esau with the pottage. Okay, 26. And Abraham saw on the day when he was sitting amongst them that they had no voice, no hearing, no motion, and not one of them could stretch forth his hand to eat. So I'll read that again. Abraham, just thinking like a Hebrew, Abraham saw on that day when he was sitting among them that they had no voice, no hearing, no motion, and not one of them could stretch forth his hands to eat. So damn would know somebody tell you, Abraham looking at it, he saw on that day when he was sitting among them that they had no voice, no hearing, no motion, and not one of them could stretch forth his hand to eat. So let's look at that right quick, because there's a lot going on right there. So he says, I'll read it one more time. And Abraham saw on that day when he was sitting amongst them that they had no voice, no hearing, no motion, and not one of them, one of them could stretch forth their hands to eat. So go back to what the Lord did in Egypt. Stretch forth his hands, his right hand. That's all he's doing all over the place, stretching forth his hand. But this is the point I want to make right here. I'm in Isaiah, right? He says, I'm always going here. I'm in Isaiah 43. This is how I found out who the Lord host is, right? 43 says, verse 10, ye are my witnesses, said the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me. Even I am the Lord. Besides me there is no Savior. See that? He's not trying to be Yahweh. He says, besides me there is no Savior. I have declared, I have saved, I have showed when there was no strange God, these idols, among you. Therefore, ye are my witnesses, said the Lord, that I am God. Now here we go. Yea, before the day was, I am he. There is none that can deliver out of my hands. See that? I will work, and ye shall let it. So that's right there. These other idols, Abraham was sitting there looking at them, right? And he seen that they had no no voice, right? No hearing, no motion, and not one of them could stretch forth his hands. See that? 27. And Abraham marked them and said, that's what we're supposed to do. After all this time, you've been on the earth 40, 50 years and JC ain't did shit, then you
Shalom, anyone. Did Brother Leonard stop at 29 or 30?
I thought he was at verse 27.
Okay, thank you.
You're
I think I was going a little too fast. All
welcome.
right, thank you.
You're welcome. They're trying to get back on this storm in there.
We had a little storm here in North Carolina a couple of days ago.
Y'all hear me?
Shalom. I can hear you now. Shalom. I can hear you.
It came on, yeah, to, I don't know what happened. I guess it's like my man said, demon, it's not AI, it's DI, demon intelligence. Okay, so, yeah. So what was it when this happened?
Verse 27 of chapter 11 in Jasher.
Did I read the part about Abraham saw that they didn't eat? It says that Abraham Abraham saw on that 26, 11 and 26, Abraham saw on that day when he was sitting amongst them that they had no voice, no hearing, no motion, and not one of them could stretch forth a hand to eat, right? And then so Abraham mocked them and said, surely the savory meat that I prepared has not pleased them. So like I said, go back to Isaac, and when Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau, savory meat was involved, right? It says Abraham mocked them and said, surely the savory meat that I prepared have not pleased them, or perhaps it was too little for them, and for that reason they would not eat. Therefore, tomorrow I will prepare fresh savory meat, better and more plentiful than this, in order that they may see the result. So I was showing you 28, and it was on the next day that Abraham directed his mother, right, concerning the savory meat, and his mother rose up, fetched 3 fine kids from the flock, and she made of them some excellent savory meat, such as her son was fond of, and she gave it to her son Abraham. Terah, his father, did not know it. Then Abraham took the savory meat from his mother, brought it before his father's gods. See that? Lowercase. Before his father's gods into the chamber, and he came nigh unto them. See that? That they might eat and he placed it before them. Abraham sat before them all day, thinking perhaps they might eat. Now watch this. So now we're gonna go to Genesis 18 right quick. I'm gonna have to cut this out, probably pick up the rest of it tonight. But you go to Genesis 18. So right here, like this is a doozy, because it also shows you that God Abraham and Isaac, God Israel is an angel. So I'm in Genesis 18. It's the same Abraham over here when he was in Ur the Chaldeans. Now he's in Canaan. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day, and he lifted up his eyes, looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him, right? And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, bowed himself toward the ground. These 3 angels, right? And he said, my Lord, this is the Lord right here, that's in the Old Testament, that went to Egypt, and said, my Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass away, I pray thee, from thy servant. 14:4. Let a little water, I pray thee, be fetched. Wash your feet and rest yourselves under the tree, and I will take it out. Same thing he did with those idols, right? Verse 5. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, comfort ye your hearts. After that ye may pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, so do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah and said, see that? Now he's dealing with Sarah, his wife Sarah, but his mother made the other ones for the gods, right? And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah and said, make ready quickly 3 morsels of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the heat. And Abraham ran into the herd, fetched a calf tender and good, gave it unto the young man, and it hastened to dress it. Now check it out. 8. And he took the butter and the milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. See that? The other idols, they didn't eat. See that? But this is the God of Abraham. He ate with Abraham. But these idols, these gods over here, they ain't eat with him. See that? And notice in verse 6, in Genesis 18:6, Abraham hastened unto, 3 men came to him. Verse 2, verse 6, Abraham hastened under the tent unto Sarah and said, make ready 3 morsels of fine meal. We look over there and knead it and make cakes upon the heat. Okay, yeah. So you see that? So these angels, so when they dealing with these angels, we can see right here. This is for the nut buckets that say ain't no angels. So these angels, they eat. But he dealing with these idols, they ain't eating nothing. See that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it off right there, and then I'll pick up the reading. We'll pick this up and read the rest of this evening for our scripture reading this evening. Connect the rest of the dots on that. So anybody want to pick a scripture and we'll read it and then we'll break it down. Tonight.
Brother Leonard, can we read? Go ahead, Sister Cheryl.
No, you go ahead. I was okay. I wanted to go to 2 Chronicles, chapter 25, the amazing reign on Judah.
Okay.
Verse 3. Now it happened as soon as then the kingdoms was established for him that he exalted his servants who had murdered his father, the king. However, he did not execute their children, but did it written in the law of the book of Moses, where the Lord commanded, saying, the father shall not be put to death for their children, nor shall their children be put to death for their fathers, but as a person shall die for his own sin. That was chapter 25, 3 through 4.
Right. So that's that right there in itself is that destroys the New Testament right there. He says a man can't die for another man's sins. So how can the same God that dealt with that, how can he have a son that he got set aside to die for everybody when he just said what we just read? He said a man can't die for another man's sin. The father can't die for the son can't die for the father. Everybody got to be accounted for their own sins. So that kills the New Testament right there.
Shalom, yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm gonna play this right here. I thought it's pertaining to what we was talking about earlier about the protests and all that, and how they was, they're saying there's no blacks being involved in it. But let me see. My computer went off. I might not be able to play it. Okay. Yeah, I'll play it tonight. So with that being said, I'm gonna say shalom, shalom, and another shalom. I see everybody tonight for to close out the Shabbat at 6 o'clock Central Time.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Shalom.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who the God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel. And it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.